I'm Keesha Ewers. I'm a nurse practitioner and an Ayurvedic practitioner here at Fern Life Center in Seattle area in Washington. I often get asked, what is Ayurveda? So I'm here to explain Ayurveda. Ayurveda is a 5,000-year-old medical tradition that comes from India. It's the oldest tradition that we know for healing, and much of what we've been proving in science today was actually known 5 to 10,000 years ago in India. Ayurveda is the sister science of yoga. You could call it the medical arm of the yogic tradition, and comes from the same set of texts called the Vedas. So if you think about Ayurveda, the word translates specifically to the science of life. So it's actually a system that allows us to live to our utmost highest potential and in concert and harmony with the rhythms of the universe. Ayurveda actually shows us that we all have different body types. We know from living in the United States or in the rest of the Western world that one size does not fit all when it comes to diet, when it comes to exercise, or a daily routine. Different people operate differently, and they function better with the things that match their unique body compositions. So in Ayurveda, these body composition types are called doshas. And the 3 dosha types, or the 3 body composition types, are called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Ayurveda says that we're a microcosm of the macrocosm of the universe. And I really like this, because what that says is that we're actually made up of everything that makes up the whole wide cosmos, especially our earth. So I usually will tell my clients that that means we're just like dirt. And so if we think about that dirt analogy, and we take each of these 3 body types, it illustrates it really well. The Vata person is going to be usually made up more of air and space. And if we think about that, and a dirt that corresponds to that, then that would be the desert sand. And so a Vata person will actually they'll be very light, and they become imbalanced with the wind. Just like when the wind comes up in the desert, it blows everything around. And each one of those grains of sand is very light, and there's chaos in the desert when the wind comes up. And so a Vata person will actually get that same sort of chaos in their body when they become imbalanced. They'll get more anxiety, they'll have more insomnia, and all of the air-filled spaces in the body can become affected. So they'll get things that affect the eustachian tubes. They can get dizziness. They can get joint problems in the joint spaces. They'll become dry. Dryness of the hair and the nails. All of the body tissues can become dry. One of the most common Vata imbalances is actually constipation. Ayurveda says the seat of all of health is in the digestive system. And so a Vata imbalance will create chaos in the digestive system, where energy, instead of going down and out the way it's supposed to, comes up, and there'll be a lot of gas and bloating and belching. The second body type would be known as Pitta. And the Pitta body type is made of more fire and water. And that type could be corresponded in Western typology as the type A personality. The Pitta body type is the person that is the go-getter. They're very highly intelligent, and they tend toward inflammation of any of the body tissues. Anything inflammatory is going to be Pitta, whether it's mental and emotional, like irritation, frustration, irritability, anger, or of the body layers, the tissue layers. There are 7, and inflammation can lodge in any of those layers. I usually say that anything red is a Pitta imbalance. And the soil that would correspond with is like the rainforest. The rainforest soil is very hot and very fertile. If an idea pops into a Pitta mind, it actually doesn't need to be cultivated very much. It can take off and become a whole ecosystem in and of itself. Pitta has the fire to get things done. But if that fire turns into a forest fire, it can burn everything up, including themselves. The third body type will be the Kapha body type. That person is made of more water and earth, and it's a heavier body type. And so the soil type would be clay. There's not a lot of movement with clay. In fact, things get stuck in clay. So when Kapha gets imbalanced, things get stuck. And in fact, when the other 2 doshas become imbalanced, they actually cause Kapha to become stuck and imbalanced also. So the different kinds of things that will happen in a Kapha person are anything to do with extra water, extra fat, sugar metabolism problems, congestive heart failure, lipomas, cellulite, anything that clogs up the lymphatic system, the channels, the skin. Kapha body type tends to have a little bit more weight on them and have trouble losing that weight. The Kapha body is type, or that person, is a real loving, nurturing, I usually call them the quintessential earth mother. Even if they're men, they'll be very loving, very loyal, the best kinds of friends and lovers and partners that we can possibly ask for. But if they become imbalanced, they could become a little bit like a couch potato. So all of us are a combination of each of these three doshas. Nobody is one purely by itself. It's like fingerprints. We're each our own fingerprint. And so you'll have your own unique ratio of these body types or doshas. And usually one will lead, and then there'll be a second one and a third one. So how do we live knowing our body type is you find out what is your dosha. A good Ayurvedic practitioner can do a pulse diagnosis, or you can go online to Fern Life Center's webpage, www.fernlifecenter.com, and take the online quiz. These are not as accurate as a pulse diagnosis, however, because when you're answering those quiz questions, you're usually answering from how you feel today, which is very subjective, and it usually reflects what your imbalance is. So you'll have a composition of those three body types at birth, that's known as your Prakriti, and then you have where you are today, which is known as your Vikruti. Your Vikruti is supposed to match your birth type, and if they don't match, then you have an imbalance. And that's where we normally will come up looking for answers, is when we get imbalanced. So Ayurveda is all about balancing your dosha types. It's about prevention of disease through understanding how to live in the rhythm and the harmony of the universe and why that we're all here. Another thing about Ayurveda that I love so well is that when we talk about Ayurvedic treatments, we're actually talking about individualized treatments. Unlike Western medicine, which many times will think again as one size fits all, Ayurvedic medicine treats the person as an individual, bringing them back to their birth composition. So what can you expect from a treatment plan at Fern Life Center? Well, you'll get a pulse diagnosis, tongue diagnosis, face diagnosis, as well as medical lab work and medical history taking and a medical examination. So here we do a lot of integrative medicine. We look and we find what's acute and then what we can prevent and get you past your chronic illnesses or learning to live in balance with your own dosha type. Thank you.